Grand Duke Leuvis is an incredible villain from the Promised Neverland, who tends to get overlooked due to him not being in the anime, but because he's such a great villain, I'm going to be talking about him in today's video. But before that, a quick spoiler warning, because I'll be talking about manga stuff that never happened in the anime. And also, if you do happen to enjoy this video going forward, then please make sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and hit that big red subscribe button, because I am currently aiming for a total of 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and any help in that goal would be much appreciated. However, with that all said and done, let's begin talking about the Duke. Specifically, who is he? Well, Leuvis is the younger brother of the Demon Queen, who I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of, but it will be up on screen now, and elder brother to Prince Sonju, although instead of spending his time at the royal capital like his sister, he instead spends his time chilling with his noble buddies at Goldie Pond, a hunting ground made for the demon elite by Lord Bayon, so that they can enjoy the pleasures that demons used to, but unlike his fellow demon nobility, Leuvis is actually only interested in someone who can kill him, because he believes hunting is more fun if his life is on the line as well, which is why he becomes very interested in the main character Emma when she throws a hatchet straight at the eye of a fellow demon named Luce, and due to his interest in the main character, we see him do some messed up stuff. But before we continue talking about his fun activities at Goldie Pond, I'd like to stop for a moment and break down his character a little, because his character is so different to a lot of other villains I've seen, as unlike a lot of them that actually have some form of empathy, Leuvis doesn't. He's a force of evil that kills simply for the pure enjoyment of it, simply for the rush it gives him. He doesn't have a tragic past or anything, he just loves murder, and yeah, that means that there isn't any deeper meaning behind his character, but does there have to be? Personally, I don't think he needs one, because if he had some sort of tragic backstory that attempted to make us empathize with him, it would be a little annoying, because this guy game ends dozens of children for sport, and I'm supposed to feel bad for him after that? Of course not. Which is why it's upsetting when series do try and make me empathize with villains like that. A good example of this is Gyutaro from Demon Slayer, because right before he died, they gave him and his sister a sad backstory that tries to make you feel bad for him, but this is right after he's just caused massive amounts of destruction, so there's no way I'm gonna feel bad for him, and thankfully the creators of TPN didn't do this with Leuvis. From start to finish, he's a bastard, and I like him that way, and no point are we meant to sympathize with him. He's an unpredictable force of pure evil that makes for such a great villain, but we're obviously not done yet, so back on with Goldie Pond, which picks up quite a bit when Leuvis goes out of his way to game end 2 children that Emma previously saved just so she would hold an even greater grudge against him. Although, sadly for Leuvis, someone let it slip that there was a Gracefield child at Goldie Pond, and not just any Gracefield child either. A top grade one, the type of child only the Queen gets to eat. So now, every single demon at Goldie Pond is after Emma, but thankfully for Leuvis, Emma is hunting him, so he can just sit back and wait for his prey to come and challenge him. After all, he knows she will. He game-ended 2 people because of her, and he knows that she's gonna want revenge. So all he's gonna do is sit back and wait for Emma to come straight for him. However, even if Emma does try and kill Leuvis, she won't be able to, and he knows that, which is why he's more than happy to wait for all of her backup to arrive. And usually I'm not a huge fan of this trope. The whole idea of villains refusing to fight the protagonist until the protag gets stronger is a little cheap to me, but in the case of Leuvis, Emma will never be able to beat him because of one simple fact. She's human, and her body will never be capable of keeping up with the ridiculous abilities that Leuvis can take advantage of. Yet despite all that, he wants someone who can face him, so he uses plenty of different methods to make sure she has the best chance of beating him, and Emma actually picks up on this, which allows her to buy time for her friends while they deal with the other nobles. And if I'm being honest, there's only one other time I've liked this trope, so the fact that the Promised Neverland managed to pull this off is incredible to me. But right back into the action, because after Emma's stalling is complete and everyone is in place, the real Leuvis fight begins, with bullets being fired at him from every direction, which doesn't really have too much of an effect because Leuvis has clearly been watching his Patrick Bateman Sigma edits as he stands there and catches the bullets. He could have stood there and got shot a ton because it's not like they would have done much to him, but instead he pulls out a massive flex and catches them, just so he can demonstrate his speed to Emma and everyone else. But sadly, you can't catch electricity, so after forcing Leuvis to get soaked, Emma uses a live wire to zap him. Which doesn't exactly go as planned because Leuvis is still able to move even while being shocked, so he successfully blocks a bullet that was heading straight for his mask. However, he didn't predict the second bullet fired by Hugo that breaks his mask, revealing his weak spot for the first time. Although it doesn't stop there because Emma then proceeds to fire a flash grenade at him, which makes Leuvis blind. But before we continue, I'd like to stop for a second and talk a little bit more about Leuvis, because it was this moment that made me think of Leuvis as a wounded animal. As soon as his mask is broken and his sight is taken away, he becomes far more dangerous, kind of like how an animal becomes more ferocious to protect itself when injured. But unlike an animal, Leuvis isn't scared or anything, he's excited, because he's never come this close to being killed before, thus making him far more dangerous as a result, not because he's scared of dying, but because this is the best hunt he's had in centuries. So if he dies, but that doesn't matter to him. All that matters to him right now is enjoying himself to the fullest, even if it ends with him dying. But back to the fight now, which isn't going so well for Emma and the gang, as Leuvis has just slashed someone, which forces everyone to make a mini retreat into the houses at Goldie Pond, although this doesn't really work out as Leuvis finds them almost instantly and begins to chase them throughout the house. And I really like this bit because the house they're in really amplifies Leuvis's appearance. Like, he's looked horrifying from the start, but seeing him in this house makes us as the reader realize how big he is, and there's one particular panel that I really like that shows Emma, Ray and Nigel at the end of one corridor firing at Leuvis, who's at the other end of it, and in this moment we see that Leuvis is actually crouching with his back pressed up against the ceiling. So obviously, he isn't even a little scared. He's happy enough to throw himself into an environment where he has the disadvantage. As long as he gets to keep on fighting, he honestly just couldn't give a shit. But either way, they don't stay in the house for too long, and when they get outside, Adam, a child sent to Goldie Pond by a mass production farm, begins throwing big chunks of rubble at Leuvis, which again, doesn't do much to him. And by the way, Leuvis is still currently blind, so he's been fighting everyone at a disadvantage for most of the fight, but when his sight comes back to him, he instantly turns to the tables by stabbing Emma straight through the stomach, before thanking her for allowing him to have fun for the first time in ages. He is genuinely appreciative of Emma and everyone else, because he hasn't been able to experience anything like this in hundreds of years. However, his fun isn't over yet, because Emma manages to hang on to her consciousness, and when everyone fires a barrage of bullets at Leuvis, she fires another flash grenade, leaving Leuvis completely pinned. Because he can't catch the bullets like before, he's way too worn out for that, and even if he managed to stop the bullets from hitting him in the eye, the flash grenade would have blinded him yet again, and at this point, Leuvis was low on energy, so instead of trying to drag out the fight any longer, Leuvis just took the shot in the eye, with his last words being, "I knew it, humans are the best," really just confirming how much he loves hunting and being hunted by humans. But sadly, these weren't actually his last words, as it's revealed that demon royalty actually have two cores, so he comes back later to basically say, "I don't want to be king, so this woman is now the queen, cool, but I don't really care about that." Because during Goldie Pond, Leuvis was great, and honestly, he may just be one of my favourite villains of all time. He had a fantastic design which felt both creepy and classy at the same time, and his motivation felt not only interesting but believable as well. So Leuvis is one of the greatest villains in all manga, and the fact he'll most likely never be animated is a crime. But that is the end of the video, and despite it being a pretty short one, I do hope you've all enjoyed. But as I said before, that is the end of the video, so goodbye until next time to all of you lovely, lovely people.